Yeah, definitely. And we've mostly been talking about the crown jewel race down under, but there's another crown jewel race happening shortly in the state of Georgia here in the United States. It's race 9 of the 2020 IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship season. We have DPI, LMP2, GTLM, and GTD teams getting set for the 23rd running of the Motul Petit Le Mans at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. It's the 10-hour endurance race. In a normal year, Petit Le Mans is usually the IMSA season finale. However, 2020, we have two more races remaining after today. We have a 2 hour 40-minute sprint race at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca on the 1st of November. Then the season finale on November 14th with the Mobile One 12 Hours of Sebring. Definitely an unusual year from IMSA and motorsports in general. And speaking of unusual things, IMSA has already raced at Road Atlanta earlier this year. Actually, it happened last month on September 5th with the TireRack.com Grand Prix at Road Atlanta. Instead of a 10-hour race, it was a 6 hour enduro, replacing the Salem 6 hours of the Glen. What different mindset will the teams and drivers have this time around in the second visit to Road Atlanta in the last 42 days?
It's very interesting because now they have notes from 42 days ago that they could look at, improve their vehicles for this race. Even though it's a little bit of a different distance, of course, 2020, everything has been crazy. The mentality of these drivers is still go out there, win, and especially if they know, like, oh, I found something in that corner. I could go faster this next lap. They could bring that. So I wouldn't. A lot of times we talked about when a series visits a track twice, you have two different kinds of races. I mean, heck, Pocono double headers. The double headers this year, we had one crazy race, one race that was totally different. I anticipate this race to be crazy. And I think one of the things going through a lot of these drivers is they're probably the ones that are probably relieved that they didn't have to participate in a wet Roval race last weekend.
Yeah, and you did mention they're going to have notes from 42 days ago, and one thing that might be slightly different from 42 days ago is the weather. On September 5th when they ran the 6 hour endurance race there. It was the end of summer heat. It was really hot, and now we're in fall, and the weather's going to be a lot cooler than what it was. But still, they can revert to the notes they had last year and definitely see what carries over from 42 days ago. And this year for Petit Le Mans, we have a 31 car field, eight DPIs with Acura, Cadillac, and Mazda. IndyCar drivers Simon Pagenaud and Alexander Rossi returned to Acura Team Penske for the first time since the Rolex 24 in January. And after setting the world on fire overseas with United Autosports and LMP2, Felipe Albuquerque is back with the Whelen Engineering Cadillac DPI squad of Felipe Nasr and Pippo Durrani. And Lloyd Duvall is skipping his DTM race to be here with the Mustang sampling racing team of Tristan Vautier and Sebastian Bourdais. And current NTT IndyCar Series points leader Scott Dixon returns to Wayne Taylor Racing alongside full season drivers Ringer Van de Zande and Ryan Briscoe. And over in IndyCar, Scott Dixon has watched his championship lead get smaller and smaller as Joseph Newgarden closes the gap. Do you think racing today at Petit Le Mans will be a distraction to his championship efforts, or the perfect way to clear his mind before the Firestone Grand Prix at St. Pete?
Knowing him being a racer, it might be able to just clear his mind, get him prepared for the Firestone Grand Prix at St. Pete. Being a racer, and I think this is just something a lot of racers do enjoy, the ability to drive different race cars throughout the year. I always think of when Jimmy Johnson said he wanted to be one of those race car drivers that could just show up with his race helmet, fire suit, get in that race car, different track, and compete. For him, I think it's going to be just simply he's going to go out there, Road America, Road Atlanta, get the win, try to get a good finish, and then after that, focus on what he has to do in the IndyCar race.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Scott Dixon is a true racer, and he's definitely not going to let this become a distraction. I think since things have kind of been going downhill for him in this second half of the IndyCar season, I think he goes out there, runs well, potentially wins Petit Le Mans. That's going to give him confidence heading into the finale next weekend. And I do think that this is the perfect opportunity for him to just get away from your day job a little bit, have a little vacation, go out here and have some fun, and try to help out your teammates Ringer Van de Zande and Ryan Briscoe. And looking at the Pro Am prototype class, we have four LMP2 entries today. Starworks returns after taking a brief hiatus. And we have a new driver lineup at Performance Tech Motorsports with Colin Brown, Matt Bell, and James McGuire. We have two cars from PR1 Matheson Motorsports, and one of the PR1 cars is a joint effort between a US based team and an LMP2 team from Europe called Inter Europol Competition. How exciting is it to have a team from Europe enter Petit Le Mans? To be honest with you, Joe, I didn't really think this would happen due to the pandemic and all of the travel restrictions.
I 100% agree. With all the travel restrictions, everything going on with the pandemic, I didn't anticipate this either. Seeing that this is occurring and happening, I'm really excited. I think and a lot of race fans are too, just to have that international team, that international presence. It gives the series, of course, more international attention. Of course, IMSA already, sports car is pretty international compared to, say, a NASCAR series race. But definitely having that European team available here at the States, seeing, interacting with the fans. Of course, with the pandemic, a lot less fans at the track or any fans, but definitely it's really exciting for the sport overall.
Yeah, definitely very exciting for the sport. I always love seeing teams from Europe come over and race in IMSA, especially the endurance rounds. I certainly would love to see more European teams come over and try their hands over here at the Rolex 24, 12 hours of Sebring and Petit Le Mans. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how Inter Europol competition performs this weekend in that four-car LMP2 field. And now looking at the factory GTLM class, we have these six original full-time entries that have been running the entire season, and we don't have any additional entries in this class. We haven't seen Reese Competizione in a hot minute. It's gonna be interesting to see if we're gonna see them at the Mobile 112 hours of Sebring because they recently they've just been running basing their schedule based on those enduros. But this weekend the teams are returning to a three driver lineup. At Corvette, we have Nicky Katzberg in the number three, Marcel Fassler in the four, and BMW have Augusto Farfus in the 24, and IndyCar driver Colton Herter in the 25. At Porsche, got Matt Campbell in the 911, and then Matthew Jomine in the 912. And speaking of Porsche, they've had an absolutely dreadful 2020 campaign. Not the year they wanted, definitely, especially since the factory GTLM program is coming to an end after the checkered flag waves at the Mobile One 12 hours of Sebring. And they had to miss a round at Mid Ohio because of some positive COVID 19 cases at the 24 hours of Le Mans. Then they returned to the Charlotte Roval only to see both cars retired very early in the wet night race. Do you think they'll be able to turn around their streak of bad luck today?
I do see them turning their streak of bad luck. It takes one race, and this is the one race where I feel they can turn that around. Just go out there, not think about the past. Just think about what you got to do, hit all your marks, get the strategy right, and I see them turn their luck around, getting a good finish. And one of the things I know a lot of people have said this, including we've all heard Kyle Busch said it, 2020. However, though, that just means every race weekend, that's a new opportunity to, okay, we start changing everything. We're not just going to keep saying 2020 up until the end of 2020. This is the weekend to try to stop saying 2020 and just say, this is the weekend. We came back.
Yes, it's definitely been 2020 in Kyle Busch turns for the Porsche factory team. I do think today that they can go out there and win Petit Le Mans and try to end their program on a positive note. And looking at the Pro M GT class, we have 13 GT Daytona cars competing in today's 10-hour endurance race. And the big talk in this class is the championship fight. Six drivers are within 8 points of each other in the championship lead with three races remaining in the season. Mario Farnbacher and Matt McMurray are tied for the lead with they drive for Meyer Shank Racing. Aaron Talitz is second in aim for Aim Vassar Sullivan. Ryan Hardwick and Patrick Long tied for third with Wright Motorsports. And then we have Jack Hawksworth fourth on the points, eight back in an Aim Vassar Sullivan Lexus. And for Hawksworth and Talitz, their situation is a little awkward because Talisa spent time in both the number 12 and number 14 Lexus GTD cars this year. He and Hawksworth were in different cars at Daytona in a 6-hour event last month at Road Atlanta, with Talise being 2 points ahead in the standings over his co-driver Jack Hawksworth. How do you see Aim Vassar Sullivan handling this situation moving forward to ensure that at least one of his drivers can claim the GTD title?
This is just very interesting, and it's very hard for any team to be in this spot. You want to make sure one of your drivers claims the title. Of course, one of the big things, you don't want the two drivers to actually go out there and cost the title. It's just something where if I knew the answer, that would be something I'll be working for a team. providing that answer. That's something for the team right now to be discussing, working on, because at the end, that's a lot of pressure for the team to handle. And I'm going to be really interested to see how the team is going to handle the situation coming up.
Yeah, definitely a lot of pressure on the team to try to make the right decisions. And in the past in IMSA, we've definitely seen drivers in situations like this, and what they typically do during the final race of the season to give the team the best shot to win the championship. They'll typically split up both drivers, like especially since Talisa and Hawks were co-drivers. Yeah, we've seen teams in the past put them in separate cars, so it'd be like either driver A or driver B is gonna have the best chance to win the title, so we're gonna split you up, so we don't put you in the same car. Let's say you crash off into a tire barrier, and then you've both lost the championship, and if one driver crashes out and loses the championship, then you still have one player left in the game. And race coverage starts soon at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time on NBC SN. Green flag drops at 2:40 p.m. Eastern time, and checker flag tonight at 10:40 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you have your coffee, folks. It's gonna be a long one. And from 12:30 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, race is gonna be on NBCSN, and then at 6:30, it's gonna switch over to the NBC Sports app, NBCSports.com, and Track Pass on NBC Sports Gold until 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then from then until 11 p.m. Eastern time, you're gonna be able to see the checkered flag on NBCSN.